yksi katakohtaugettukin tuotiin vapaakin tyykitsenäismini ätityitä kohteitsikoutti Grand Chiefana takoutti pitäisi nahams Grand Chief nipenäin. Kopahtina noja mistä hikikoi skittogamaa nanahtu tahtukissika oista kui sitsikiitti kui pikuna kaikki staatsikiitti imnokuutti naui. Kun mä katsoo mä muupia nukmi niitä maagana askumana moittiin iksihtamasaan apoi pomehari. Muutakin mä uskotin pahki vamma kaikki mä muupi kamskanu. Maga ismamta nihta manmana minugi kuuta skikkaani nienään. Maina kippi hanana kahkio niitä apsumagana. Tegi sehtaagi, tanssigi kui juis nii postaagi. Ja kutse tukemana pomehao metseta, maga maina kiinnakin. Saamnisti oma pahtamaan oma käis oma pahtamiin. Tahtu kans tuhtamiinkin kuin oma governmental tahtu kissikauga oihtään. Se on ihtä onmana, maga kahka meimu, kihtikoon tahka meimuja. Suutakin jauka ei kuttoituka kuttaka tavaukit naan. Mitsit naan istuna ajokan taski kannaan olla. Nian naagitsem taatomtano, nianum taatomtano, aivaag niana. Taatas naanego. Ja kun staagitsem taatomtano nantuu taski kanni ja vitsi. Skip matse. Kaksi naamausta kuuge. Mitsetsik minna. Ovassa kutiks naamausta. Soikumaanega no pahtamaan tappuko niigaan. Kui naga tohja puhutaan suomalaisista asioista hakana puhutaan, joka on kihtiimnainen kama minun muetsi puhutaan meimuja. Apuittu kun joutikin niin anju, atuo pahtaakin kottakaa skunkanen. Nyt maagana koukua pahtaakaa tansuun. Isi nihalta kahki jokikoi. Oatsa puhuti, omuti kapio tuhtiit sikuukimas kutsiin olituks kapuina. Ja koskit soukumas, kui suuni saa puhtataan, ikas kihtaan. Nippiä, nituks kapuunam saa käigan käi. Ja koikoikoitti piitä, Premier Redford's government laws. Ja vaamaka pee, hikikoi pee. Naanagistamaan istanaan. Kahkiugi kui skihani pitsaivu kuinka noa pampusti ujo. Joku suu timina Saskatchewan joku summi kui suskoitattai. Kuitat tiemaiga mitsit tuukanigan istamaan kaavu mui taskuutki kui emaatittai. Maaga kihtee joutika pipiks kitnaui naanagat tohki. Miskanahan ikaw ihinaw ang ipititsi. Skit paskanon, skasun, pinokan. Ikaw nanto tamigo. Ikaw nikiktik, huwag gusto ka ikap magikuta. Ikaw mani pumamtanehtak. Namoya kiano maga, utigin iganyo gawasak. Kutsumaan kahkuissuuga haatki kui koosku iluttamaan moigi kui inuhtu timaa aujakkuta. Maga, it's time. Tanano, kinusmani pahpikskue. Kinusi pahpikskue aminu kumakana kama muupia kumagi kui uskoitat siganti. Maga, kaupoi maatsit tanano. Saadettugi a planning meeting, magitsinati ko sismana resolutions or anything, it's suggestions, recommendations, how to move forward. E gominani kagi no so moya ne kisigao. E gomina fe next piwi ma mot. E gomina gutaga summer games o tita ko nagteme no gumaha nagmitsit man isito squad sugas. Kametoid mas ko deva metoid during that week. So e gomina gumam sko tena o tit and sugo magispay. So just good morning to the people that are in attendance here today. In the name of the Creator, I want to say thank you to our elder in Easttown here for opening the prayer today. Also the people that did this ceremony yesterday, the sweat and the feast, preparations for this. And the people that are here, we say welcome on behalf of Anialei to Treaty 6 territory. It is a sad time in our community. Across the road, there's an elder that passed away, and there's a wake service happening. Those things can't be helped, and many of us that have been taught that way. So that's why we had to move it here, to hold a meeting here. What I said in Cree is also very difficult to try and get a unified position. Many times we've seen that. We talk about unity, we get that direction from elders, but it seems like we don't know how. And many times I sit at these chiefs meetings, and sometimes I may offend my colleagues and the way I speak. And I said that last time we had a meeting across the road here. Sometimes very disheartening and discouraging when I hear and I get calls and texts from other communities on what do we do. And I can't say anything because I can't disrespect that leadership from that other community. But so many things are happening, and sometimes it's really frustrating for me when I see all this happening and our organizations are not doing anything really to make a stand to protect the rights of our people. And this is why many times I believe that I offend certain chiefs in different communities, because I don't want to sit around and wait. Many of you have worked at this for over 50, 60 years. So that's one of the reasons when we sat at Brandon, perhaps we can have a different format when we hosted the meeting, or agreed to host the Treaty 1 to 11. So this is a planning meeting. Suggestions, ideas, discussions, resolutions are not at this table. It's ideas how to make this work. And also, I can't wait for the rest of my colleagues to stand collective, one position. There are many things happening in Ottawa, the Harper government, many things in the Omnibus Bill, the C-27, and what our First Nations is doing about those. Right now, next week I'll be in Edmonton for 2 days, meeting with Alberta government people, and that's for information, as an example of what the governments are doing. There's a great big picture here, and it all has to do with the land. One of the laws that Alberta province have passed, I forget what the name of that bill is, they want to claim ownership of the water bodies on Indian Reserve lands. I made an example with our elder Fred here, Saddle Lake, the water. They want to own that. They want to claim ownership on that. And that was passed, and we raised that in Calgary and in Edmonton at the Chiefs meeting, and our technicians, but it seemed to fall on deaf ears. Now they're doing that same thing in Saskatchewan. They're following that process in the provincial government. The slough behind my place, they want to own that. But our position is we're not going to put up with that, at least here in our community. Well, we can't speak on behalf of other nations. that perhaps may not have that same concern or understanding. The water in Sturgeon Lake, surrounded by reserve, where ATAE comes from. The province will take ownership and will have to pay for the water coming out of that. But all this is part of that big picture of the joint action plan of economic prosperity that the government is doing. The omnibus bills that are being passed, that were passed. And just for information, we're one of the nations that didn't sign that agreement, that fiscal agreement, that CFA. We had a meeting here at the community, the people that were in attendance at the Ben Hall, explained that to them, solicited feedback. We were given direction to sign under duress. And this is 40 First Nations in Canada have not signed that agreement or signed under duress. In March 18th, we had that meeting. March 19th, we sent that document to the Minister of Indian Affairs, the Band Council resolution outlining the points of concern. All this is about transparency, they say, but it goes beyond that. And so we called them on it. You have 7 days to reply to this letter, to come to the table to meet with our people, or else we commence legal action. Well, on the 7th day, on the 11th hour, 4:30 in the afternoon, I received an email. First of all, when they sent that, Onion Lake sent that, their position was, we will withhold the money. No cash flow on every month got made to reserves. And in our case, it was $2 million for April. And then it goes to 1.8 million, 1.6 thereafter every month, funding agreement. And then they told me that time when they got that letter, what happens? I said, well, we'll have to withhold your money. And I said to them, please do that. Withhold the funds, and we'll see what happens after that, and see what we're going to do. So we did a press release also calling on the government, and their policy and their maneuvers is legalized extortion, state-approved blackmail, and that was in the media. But what did they do? 7 days later, I got an email that they're going to put back the money. He sold some us, the government, because we said, go ahead and take the money. We're not going to put up with this crap. And that's the kind of language I use with Indian Affairs and government people, not to our people. So then they get a text, a letter that from that time that they were going to send the funding officer that has no authority. And I replied back by email. I said, I'm not going to meet with these people. Why waste my time? Because they have no say in authority. So then I get another text from the Regional General that I got invited, Onion Lake got invited to the Deputy Minister's meeting in Regina on Friday. So our legal people, we met in Edmonton Friday with our legal people and some of our staff, and again a conference call yesterday for an hour and a half, preparing for that meeting. And then on top of that, after that meeting with the Deputy Minister, I get another call from Ottawa. The Minister of Indian Affairs wants to meet with us on Monday, April 22nd for 3 hours. So the ball is rolling in that respect, but we're not doing it just for us in Onion Lake. What we propose, and we've talked about this at many meetings, is a new funding agreement based on our resources that they stole from us, based on the treaty principles. That's the position we're taking. And you know, one last comment I'll make on that to the people, I've said this over and over again. Indian Affairs will always control chiefs and councils and people on Indian reserves as long as they provide that funding through their contribution agreements. Why they can't figure out how to deal with this, and I got a call from a contact in headquarters at INAC, is they don't know how to deal with Onion Lake Cree Nation. Because they withhold our funds, we'll still survive. We'll still keep on going. They'll put us in third party, they'll look stupid because we have unqualified audits. They'll be humiliated. Every which way they look, they can't figure out how to shut the door on Onion Lake and control us. And they're afraid that we're going to be out of control, their control, not ours. And I've maintained that position, and I work for Onion Lake Cree people and only Onion Lake Cree people when I deal with those government people. So, with the support of our community, our elders, our council, and our staff, we're going to make every effort to continue that stand against the government. Because one of the things you need to understand, perhaps, and this has to be created an awareness amongst our young people, is the authority that the Superintendent General has, now called the Minister of Indian Affairs. It doesn't belong in that cabinet. History tells us that it was because of the allegiance of the Iroquois, the people, the Mi'kmaq people, the Iroquois Confederacy, when they drove out the French. This is where all this originated from, in the 1600s. And that's that legal obligation that they have. It ties in. And what C-27 does today, prior to Wednesday of March 27th, and I shared this with the people in Saskatoon on the 26th and 27th at that meeting. Prior to that bill getting royal assent, people in Indian Affairs and federal government did not have any legal grounds to withhold money. They did not. It was just a policy that they arbitrarily created amongst themselves to control, to threaten an Indian people. After C-27 came into effect, what now will happen, they can hide behind that law that they passed on C-27, on that consolidated audits, transparency, yada, yada, yada. Law maragi sa importance. The guy was audit, so we make it under their law. Before that, they did not have a legal basis. So that's why Ermineskin and other First Nations were able to do this position in prior years. And we've learned in working with Ermineskin and their staff and people on this joint position. So one of the things we're going to ask for is that these laws, these omnibus bills, C-27, to be held in abeyance, to be not in effect until there's free, prior, informed consent amongst our people. That's one of the positions that we're taking on this next couple of weeks of meetings. So, Chairman, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I know I'm long-winded, but a lot of times it's really frustrating. How important are treaties? Are they important? Well, to the people here, they're important. We've got to look at it from that basis, and the people will grow once we continue to work, all of you that are here. Sometimes treaties are only important when one of our people goes to the prescription, get their prescription filled, and they can't get their prescription. Now they call the treaty. Health is a treaty right. How come I'm being charged? Well, come to the meeting, get more information, learn about treaty. Not only when it affects you, it affects us every single day. Not only the times when we're in a situation do we run to that. So, thank you, and commence the dialogue on how you want to see this. The dates, I guess, are important. The dates we chose were the week of July 15th, I believe, 14th, selected, recommended. What's happening there, sometimes I wonder, people, is there a conspiracy against me or Onion Lake? When we notified the people down east, those sort of dates, while they sent a reply, AFN is having a meeting in Yellowknife that same week. Divide and conquer. Also, we didn't realize at that time the summer games, Manota, on this side, all the nations, the youth get together, tryouts, they have summer games that's going to be hosted in Muscoday that week. And a lot of leadership support their youth during that week, so we may not have participation on that week that we suggested initially. So I sent an email back to Aclio that time and a couple of regional chiefs requesting their reconsideration of that week. They haven't replied, so I guess the AFN meeting is going to happen. Also, the Treaty 1 to 11, Mina, some of the chiefs in Ontario and Manitoba that have been talking to me are suggesting perhaps we have this meeting before that AFN meeting. Treaty 1 to 11, but tomorrow we'll come to Toano, and the reason behind that is perhaps from that National Treaty Alliance gathering, Treaty 1 to 11 combined with the pre-numbered treaties, perhaps we can have one position at the AFN to take with us, is what they're thinking. So we'll entertain them tomorrow when they show up here. So thank you, EJ.